So Eric, I just want to thank you again for being here today. It's like such an honor. Like I said earlier, I've been following a little bit in the background as a lot of people do. We're on social and we catch glimpses of what's going on around the world. But you guys, Eric Newberry is doing something amazing. Jesus is doing something amazing in Pakistan in and through Eric and all of the donors. And he just has such a powerful story. And I want to share it today. And I know you have a powerful message as well. That's a through line. But Eric is a mission pastor and chief abolitionist. He is dedicated to leading and activating people in the modern fight against slavery. Yes, there is real physical slavery happening today because he believes that every single one of us, that's me, that's you, can make an impact. His mission is not small. It is a God-sized mission. It is to rescue and restore the 4.5 million people still enslaved today across Asia. For over a decade, Eric has been passionate voice for the voiceless, leading mission efforts in Pakistan, Uganda, India, Peru, beyond. Lots of crusades, lots of strategic partnerships to share the hope of Jesus with thousands and mobilize others to bring light into the darkest places. You guys, I'm just going to say welcome, Eric. You guys, this is Eric Newberry from SlaveFreeBricks.com. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much, Christine. What an intro. I think that might be the best one I've ever heard.
That's good. I was like, that's awesome. Okay, we just shared your story and we're going to loop that in, but I really like to start each one of these shows. The name of the show is Breaking Chains, breaking people free from this world system of slavery. And it's interesting because there's spiritual slavery, mental slavery, emotional slavery, and physical slavery, and at every level. Hey, it's Christine. I'm interrupting our program for a minute to ask you a question. Could you use a breakthrough right now? What is the one area of your life that you know that if you had a breakthrough in this one area, if you broke through this wall of resistance, this challenge that you're facing, this mountain, that it would change the game for you in every other area of your life? Listen, if I'm talking to you right now, I want to let you know about a 30-day breakthrough coaching experience that I'm offering up for a limited time. It's where I'm going to work with 3 people very intimately, one-on-one. There's going to be daily touch points, daily action steps, and the opportunity to talk to me directly a couple times a week. And we're going to get to work on that one area of your life that is the domino that's going to knock down every other thing, that is just going to open the door. So here's who it's for. It's for those of you who are ready to roll up your sleeves, get to work. You want to execute at a high level. You want that person in your corner for support to call you out on the blind spots. It's also for those of you who don't want to deal with surface level fixes anymore. You want to get to the root of the problem. We're going to pluck the root out and we are going to clear the path. It might be mental operating systems. It might be spiritual stuff going on. It might be as simple as getting into full decision and getting clear action steps. So if I'm talking to you right now and you are ready for a breakthrough, click on the link below. There's going to be a short application for you to fill out. Once our team receives that, if we think it's a fit, we're going to send you the offer with all the details, the pricing, the investment, and the clear next step. You guys, if the program is full, we'll drop you into the wait list. Again, if it's a fit, we'll let you know when a spot opens up. So if you are ready for a breakthrough in this season of life, click on the link. Fill out the application. I'll see you on the other side. But today we're going to talk about the real tactical people and families and children that are in slavery. Before we jump into all of that in the story, if there was just one message, if you just had a megaphone and you could only say one thing to people that are listening and that they would plant a seed that really the Holy Spirit could get to work on in their life, what is the one message that you want people to know? Hit them right with the arrow, straight out the gate.
God's plan for the world includes you. Jesus said, I'm the light of the world, but then he turned to the disciples and he said, you're the light of the world. So think about that. The plan, God's plan A for the planet is us. That's why he said, don't grow weary in doing good. That's why Romans 12 says, overcome evil by doing good. The greatest force for good on the planet is the Church of Jesus Christ. It's the followers of Jesus Christ. That's my message.
So good. We are part of the plan.
Yeah.
We need to partner with the Lord. It's so true.
So if you start from the beginning, I started in this little town called Williamsburg, right? And there's nobody there and no influence. And so it's cool how God uses nothing to do something. That's what that's just his way. He just does that. And he does it so that no one else can take credit.
Come on.
That's the idea. Yeah. So we come from this really small place, and there's this huge concentration of tunnels there. And I grew up playing in them. And I grew up, like, my best friend's house was right on the railroad tracks in Williamsburg, and shotgun style house. And one day she asked me, she's like, hey, do you want to see this bunker in my bedroom? And I was like 13 or 14. So I said, absolutely, I do. And sure enough, she goes back, pulls up the shag carpet, pulls up this piece of wood, and there's literally a tunnel under her house like it was a basement. And so I crawled down in there and, like, looked as far as I could, and you could tell it just went way beyond her house. And obviously I found out later, but that's the Underground Railroad.
Wow.
And so the Underground Railroad came into my little no-name town, Williamsburg, Ohio. And you can look up the Underground Railroad map and see that it converges into Williamsburg, and they had a conductor there, and his name was Mr. Huber. And he lived just down the street from my best friend's house. And Mr. Huber, I think he rescued between 300 and 500 runaway slaves in Williamsburg, Ohio. So what the juxtaposition there of being a small town kid, and I couldn't put this into words until later, but I dreamed my whole life of leaving that town. I wanted out. There was nothing happening. There was nothing to be excited about.
Get me out of here.
We were well known because our high school football team went defeated. Like, we went defeated. We lost every game.
Oh, wow. So you guys were known for.
That's what we were known for. Yeah. And it's kind of reminds me of Jesus. Nothing good comes out of Nazareth. And nothing good came out of Williamsburg. Yeah, we found out this town we all dreamed of escaping used to be a town that everyone dreamed of escaping to.
Come on.
So if you think about it that way, it's so crazy to look at it in reverse, because now I know that's God put me there. That's where I was born. I was born into, just like Jesus into Nazareth. I want to be more like Jesus. I'm not Jesus, but I'm born into this no-name town, and that's where slaves were escaping and then sent into more tunnels. And what I found out was the county that we grew up in and lived in had the highest concentration of Underground Railroad tunnels in the state of Ohio. And so just really cool story about how this is like where we came from. We bought our first house there, Sammy and I, and it was this ugly little farmhouse on 5 acres that just needed a ton of work. And I was young enough to think I had time and energy to do it. And we worked on that house for 4 years, and we did it. But Beautiful. It was at that house, I was working on the land one day, and I came in, and one of my friends, Victoria, had posted this picture and this short paragraph on Facebook. And it was a picture of a family that I lovingly call Mike and Faith, because that's just what I call them. But Mike and Faith, family in Pakistan. Faith broke her arm and needed surgery and could not get access to healthcare. And the only way to get the money to pay for the surgery was to borrow it. And she had to borrow it from a brick kiln owner. And so we've met Mike and Faith. They maybe were in their 12 years as slaves. They had birthed 3 children on the brick kiln who were all slaves and not in school. And I remember reading that story, and I thought, you have got to be kidding me. Isn't it? I think that's most people's takes. There's slaves today. Yeah. It's so shocking that we don't even have a paradigm for it. We're just like, wait, I thought we were done with that. We're not done with that. I found out that in just Pakistan, there's 4.5 million people in slavery, just like Mike and Faith. And when I saw that story, I remember distinctly exactly what the Holy Spirit told me. And he said, do something. And I remind you, I'm from a small town. I have small town influence, right? Which is not very much. I remember when we were raising money for missions in early days, we were so happy when someone gave us a $50 bill. We thought, we've made it. We're going to change the world. And so I just made a quick Facebook post the same way, and I just told the story to other people. And by the next morning, we had $2,000 to get that family out.
Wow.
And so it started with them, and that was in 2019. And today we've helped rescue over 15,000 people, which is incredible.
That's incredible.
But the movement's just growing stronger and stronger right now, because I think people are just seeing that, hey, there's room for me in this.
Tell us a little bit about the organization.
Yeah, I told you the story about 2019 and up until today. We've been just gathering people along the way. One person I'm really inspired by, Eric Metaxas wrote a great book called Amazing Grace, and it's about William Wilberforce. And if you study William Wilberforce's life, he was a dignitary. He was a great singer. He was well-connected. He was wealthy. He could have enjoyed a life of leisure. Instead, he gave it all up to fight the triangle trade that was going on from the African slave trade. And he won. He actually won. It cost him everything. He died broke, and he got the law passed 3 days before he died. But he's the reason why today we connect Christianity with abolition work. He's the reason today that we connect slavery with evil, right? Is because he changed the collective hearts and minds of people. So I think there's a lot to learn from his life. And one thing that he did is he built a gathering in his town, right? There was a sect that he would gather people at. I think he called it the Clapham sect. And he pulled people in from all walks of life. I don't need you to be a pastor. I don't need you to be a business owner. I don't need you. I just need you to be you and come in and ask the Lord, how can you move the needle on this issue? Because one quote that I live by, and actually it's on the back of the coins we hand out to people that go to Pakistan and fight the fight, is Wilberforce said, you can choose to look the other way, but you can never say again that you did not know.
Come on.
And I just think there's real power in connecting people to what's actually happening there. I just saw a video. I told you about that. I saw a picture, and that was it.
Tell us again. It's good.
Here's how, I grew up in Williamsburg, Ohio, and probably have never heard of that place. It's a small town, small farm town in the middle of nowhere. It's about 45 minutes southwest of Cincinnati. That's the closest major city. And I grew up in this small town thinking, I can't wait to get out. There's a big world out there. I want to go to the city. I'm ready to get out of here. And there's not much good came out of Williamsburg. It's like Nazareth with Jesus, right? No profit comes out of Nazareth. And so it felt very much like we were trapped in this small town.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. My best friend lived on the railroad tracks in a shotgun style house, really old house, super creepy house. I remember one day she asked me, hey, do you want to see the bunker in my bedroom? And a weird question, but I was 13 or 14, so I only had half of a brain at the time. And I said, absolutely, I do. I got to see it. And sure enough, we went in the back bedroom, and she pulled up the shag carpet, and she pulled up this like piece of wood that was there covering the floor. And there was a bunker as promised. And so I climbed down in it and did not like how it felt. So I climbed out pretty quick. But when I looked down the bunker, you could tell that this is not just a hole in the ground, but this is actually, it goes beyond the house. It's like a tunnel. And I found out later, of course, that's the Underground Railroad. Just a few houses down from her house was a guy named Mr. Huber, and he's buried in the Williamsburg Cemetery. But Mr. Huber was the conductor of the Underground Railroad in Williamsburg. So they say he rescued between 300 and 500 runaway slaves.
Wow. And
so that guy was every day risking his safety and his freedom so that other people could have safety and freedom. And the tunnels from Williamsburg go out to multiple other towns. So it was a stopping point where the split off happened. So it decentralized from there. And I just think it's so funny the way God works, and nothing he does is unintentional. We're born in this town that everyone dreamed of escaping, but a few hundred years prior, everyone dreamed of escaping to that town.
Yes, it was a destination.
Yes, it was a destination. And it's funny how fast you forget how good you have it.
Come on.
If you're not paying attention to how hard some other people have it. And so that same small town, I did escape. I went to college, but then I came back and I bought my first house with my wife, Sammy, there, which is so interesting. We saw the value in it later when the brain was fully grown.
Formed. Yeah.
And it's so funny. The older you get, the more you just want space. And I just want some land. And every wife just wants some chickens.
That's us right now.
So that's the way it really goes. And so Sammy got her chickens. I still don't understand the point of having those chickens. They cost more than buying eggs.
Good to know.
But it was so fun. It was this ugly little ranch style house that we bought that was just it was a work in progress like we are. And we knew we're going to spend, I think in my head, I thought I could whip this into shape in a year. It took 4. And it took a lot more money than we expected. But it was, I remember I was working, and I always say, you don't own land, it owns you. That's the way that works. It tells you what to do, not the other way around. So I was out working on the land one day, and I came in tired at the end of the day, but fulfilled. And I got onto Facebook that day, and I saw a friend of mine named Victoria. Shout out, Victoria.
Shout out, Victoria.
Let's go, Victoria. And she posted on Facebook. Her husband, Mark, was in Pakistan doing some work, and they found out about these brick kilns that had slaves on it. And she posted this story about a couple that I call Mike and Faith, just because it's easy to remember. Yeah. I know her real name was Fazia, but Mike and Faith is what I call them. And the story was tough, I'll be honest with you, Christine, because it didn't make sense to me. She had broken her arm on a motorcycle accident. A lot of families will ride one motorcycle. So imagine 4, 5, 6 people on one motorcycle. And she had broken her arm. And as I understand it, it was pretty severe. So she had some bone outside of her arm, and it was pretty intense. And there's no health care there. So there's no insurance. You can't, it's not like US where we just show up and they'll take care of us and they'll figure out the debt later. They just told her, hey, bring the money or we can't do anything for you. And there's no financial backing there, especially for Christians. And so she had to borrow money to get surgery on her arm. And when I met her, they were slaves on a brick kiln for 13 years because they had to borrow money from that brick kiln owner. 13 years later, the money has not been paid back. They've birthed 3 children on the brick kiln.
So they accumulate more debt
it just keeps growing.
Yeah.
It's like so think of it. So for Americans watching, right? Think of it in the construct of a payday loan where once you're in the cycle, you just can't get out of it. Yeah. You need some intervention, or a car title loan where the interest just grows every single day. You're never going to pay it back. And then you have less and less and less as time goes, and that debt keeps growing. And then when something else happens in 13 years, imagine how many things happen.
Yeah.
I've got to borrow now. I've got to borrow more money from the brick kiln owner. And so it just keeps growing. And I remember when I learned about it, it was as clear as possible, but God said to me,
do something.
Do something. This is for you. I knew this is for me. And you guys know when the Holy Spirit speaks to you, it's not always it's more of an understanding than it is language. Do something. This is for you. Because I started in missions in 2015 in India. And I was in the streets of Delhi. And in the streets of Delhi were these kids, just a bunch of children roaming free in Delhi, which is a city of 20 million people. And it didn't make any sense to me. And I asked the guy that I was with, I said, how does this happen? And he said, when parents can't take care of their kids, they get on the train from the south and they ride all the way to Mumbai. And then they get off the train right before it takes off to Delhi. And they leave the kids on the train. And at the end, the conductor sweeps all the kids into the streets. And then the kids on the street are taken in by these gang leaders who will beat up the kids, make them look pitiful, and then they have to beg. So that's where I was sitting there. I was dealing with the intensity of, I now know something that I didn't know. And what do I do? And what do I do with the anger that's in me? and I have to deal with it with God, knowing that God is holding that same tension. He's brokenhearted. He's feeling all these same things. He's allowing me to feel a little bit of what he felt. And God said to me, that was on my first ever trip. He said, Eric, I made you to be a voice for the voiceless. And I learned about this issue in Pakistan 4 years later, and God says, do something. And the only thing I knew what to do was talk about it, tell people about it.
Yeah, share
it. So the same way it was exposed to me and moved me, I just logged into Facebook and made a video and invited some of my friends to jump in. And by the next morning, we had $2,000 to get that family out, rescued, restored, a business started, the whole thing that we need to get them sustainable. We had it by the next morning.
Come on.
Which was really a miracle.
God. Yes.
Because that was at a time where we were really struggling. If we got to $100 in fundraising or $50, we were like, man, someone gave us a $50 bill. They must really believe in us and what God's doing.
Yeah.
And so this was like 2,000 overnight seemed impossible. And now I'm looking at fast forward. There's a lot of people to honor when I tell the story because they're just all such a big part of it, like Mark and Victoria. And then I meet Conduit Church, and Conduit Church starts funding 4 families a month, just every month, $10,000 a month just to start. And
is that what it costs to free a family?
$2,000 frees a family of 5.
That's about the average. Obviously, everybody has different debts, right? Like
everybody has different debts, but our debts are all within a tight enough range that we can just say $2,000 will completely cover it.
Okay.
And there may be $50 or $60 left over. It all averages out.
So $2,000 will free a family of 5.
Yeah.
That's like a weekend getaway for most people.
It's very low. If you think about it this way, right? $2,000 over the course of a year. If you were to say today, and this is where I'm pushing people who, everybody's in a different economic position.
Yeah.
But my belief is this work is an invitation to everybody. And you could do one family every year, and it's $150, $175 a month. And you've now rescued a family out of slavery. Or just even one person per year a person costs $400. It's just so tangible.
I want to go back to, it's crazy, right? We know it. We hear about sex trafficking. We watch things like Sound of Freedom. It breaks our heart. And what's more heartbreaking though, is that we watch these movies. Our heart breaks for a minute. We cry about it. We get upset about it, but then we just go back to our regular life. And it's like we forget, because we really do, regardless of what everybody thinks about America, we live in the richest country, and we are just so blessed that we become blind in the blessing. And it's just, that's really the heartbreaking thing. I want to go back though. You talked a little bit about the cultural and systemic climate in Pakistan that just perpetuates this cycle, right? They don't have traditional health insurance. These people sound like lords, basically, right? They're basically like lords that lord over the people.
Think about it in the context of Exodus, right? The book of Exodus, that the Egyptians had the Israelites enslaved. What were they doing? Making bricks. Same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's just a multiple 1,000-year-old business model. That's all it is. And so I think I look at it differently maybe than others do. I think people, their first response is anger. Oh, I can't believe I love the Pakistani people. I see it from like the ground level where I'm going, I think everyone's just trying to survive for the most part.
They think it's a business model. That's the way that they're really.
Because there's so little economic opportunity that it's like, hey, my great-great-grandpa owned this business. It provided for our family then, and then my grandpa, and then my dad, and now I'm next. They just learn it through the family line.
Right.
And it's
generational.
Passed down. Yeah, it's generational. And so I just think it's the cotton gin moment for Pakistan, where we have to say, hey, we're not going to abuse people to make profit. There's almost everyone else in the entire world has mechanized brick kilns, just not Pakistan. So they're one of the largest producers of bricks by hand in the world. And it's just avoidable. And what they needed was some help to navigate it. And so that's how I see us is we're, as the Church of Jesus Christ, we're lighting up these dark places and just saying, we're here to serve your nation and your people and be a blessing.
Yeah. So we're freeing the families that are, because the people that are adopting the slave system and saying, yes, like that's all they've ever known too, right? If all you've ever known is slavery and that's the climate. And by the way, I'm just keep coming back to our homeland for a second because there's so many of us living in these cycles of bondage and slavery here and running our businesses. We may not be forcing people to make bricks, but we don't realize what is the spirit and the heart behind how we're creating profit, because let's not be, the word that comes like foolish or smug to think, hey, we're that much different. It looks different. It's a lot more painful when we see it like that. And I want to find ways to support your mission and give. And also at the same time, just really start to ignite some questions as we look at these parallels of what are some of the parallels over here? How are we maybe running the same systems without even knowing it? We're blind to the fact.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we care so much about the employees here, right? If you want to put it into American business context, we care so much about these employees. And do we care that much about our own employees, right? Mm-hmm. What we know is greed is an unquenched fire. There's never enough. There never will be enough. You can never store up enough. If you're greedy, you'll never feel like you're secure. And if your security comes in money, then you're greedy.
Say that again.
So if you're greedy, you'll never feel secure. But if your security comes in money, then you're greedy. Yeah. And so you have to find security in God only. Who's your provider? Is it you and your business acumen, or is it God himself? When you look at this, you have to put yourself in a position of understanding what it's like to have nothing. What it's like to have nothing. I grew up extremely poor in America, right? And so I remember not having lunch at school, not having clothing. I remember going to neighbors' houses to figure out if there was food to eat. A very unique upbringing in America, the rich place. But we weren't rich. And I remember praying to God as a kid, when are you going to rescue me? When are you coming for me? And so if you can't relate with this intense poverty, you're going to struggle to feel the heart of God around that. But also you're going to struggle to identify why they do what they do and the scarcity of choices that they have, which can affect the way you're making choices about your business or your own leadership, right? Of, man, am I putting people in that same position? Do I have people working for me that I'm putting in that same position so that my bottom line is a little better, or so I can get a little bit more? I think that's a very valid question. When the reality, Christine, is this, that God put us on earth. He gave us the ability to make wealth. That ability came from God.
Yeah.
I want you to, let's go macro here. You ready?
I love it. Let's go.
Okay. Tell all the business guys and girls that are watching this, listen, get ready for this. It's going to hurt your feelings. If you macro zoom out from America, we're about 3x the GDP of any other country, right? I think we're almost 3x China. You can look. I just saw some recent GDP numbers, and it looks like we're roughly there. I can't remember what the numbers are, but say it's roughly 3x. We have a population of 300 and some odd million, 360, something like that. Very small nation with a very large amount of resources.
Yes.
What do you think God expects from us?
I hope that we would multiply those resources and send them around the globe.
But the trail of money, that is not happening.
I know. We hoard, we accumulate, we store up for ourselves so often. And again, there's a time to save and there's a time to release. And I think that as what you said there about if your security comes from money, then greed is running the operating system. And that is the spirit of mammon. And it's hard to think, wow, I have made mammon my idol because I don't see myself as greedy. But if I can't rest unless I have a certain amount accumulated, then we know, right? That's the security blanket. And I'm just going to raise my hand because the Holy Spirit has convicted me of this so many times. And he just keeps testing, like, do you trust to release that if you live with hands open, not clenched fists, as you release, and I know I can trust you, I put more in you. I release more to you from the treasury of heaven, because I know I can trust you not to hold on tightly to what I give you, but to live with your arms open, right? In a posture of worship and a posture of release. It is not something that has come easy to me. I have had to get a lot of training from the Lord and the Holy Spirit on that. Because growing up, we had a cycle of losing things, losing homes, losing businesses. And so there was that unconscious fear. Anyways, I don't want to hijack the podcast, but I think it's important for us to realize like where some of these programs come from, mental programs and cultural programs, because when you're in survival mode and your whole goal is just to get through another day, and just to make sure that you're safe and secure, look, we're all capable of making some really horrible choices and doing some horrible things. And I think that's really the root. And I knew I was going to ask you that. We're going right in there. But like, really, that's the root, right? Is getting people to start to recognize. Obviously, you have to get them out of physical survival mode before you can start working on their spirit and their heart and their mind. Because if somebody's physically in it, you got to get them out so you can re-educate and transition and work on that. Because I wanted to ask you about that when people are freed out of these kilns. And you can go to the website. Is it Operation Freedom?
Go to slavefreebricks.com.
Slave Free Bricks. There's an awesome video you guys can watch. It tells you what happens when people are set free. But walk us through that journey, because somebody's in there. They've been in there for 13 years. And I'm thinking like, how does somebody reintegrate into society? Like, how do you, because all you've ever known is how to be a slave.
Yeah, it's wow. You want to talk about a process that we have been evolving into. What we started with was very simple. It was like, we pay off your debt. We start you a business. We'll get you some food and some clothes and a place to live. And we'll check in whenever we can. It was a very simple process.
Yeah.
But there was a bit of recidivism. It solved the problem for almost everyone, but then people were sometimes going back into slavery.
Yes. The program is there, right? If that's the program and that's what you know and that's the solution, it's like somebody winning the lottery.
Yeah, you bail them out and then something else happens. And you know what? It's like they have to pay a dowry when you marry off your daughter or sister. And they'll be going back into slavery to pay that dowry for a wedding. It's just, and for us, we're going, what are you doing? Yeah. What is happening? And then, guess what we learned? We need training there. We need training. We need financial literacy. We need training on leadership. We need training on entrepreneurship. So we need discipleship training. We need to plant churches. We need to put people into schools and trade schools. We need to start savings groups so that we take away the financial vulnerability. Also, those savings group can act as micro lenders to start new companies. Mm-hmm. We need to do business studies. And that's exactly what we've been doing. Mm-hmm. All of the things I just said is a part of the process now. And today I'm super proud of our team on the ground. We have 70 full-time employees working on this in Pakistan. It'd be impossible without them. God knows their names and will reward them greatly.
Yes.
But they have been working full-time on this for many years, and just so thankful to know that today, because of that team, because of my partner Mike Brickley, because of my partner Conduit Church and Blake Thompson and all these great leaders that have stepped into this fight, we have no recidivism, none. And the good news about that is we didn't have to create a macro business or do something that is, oh, look at the heroes. This is just the local church doing what they need to stabilize. Yeah. And for us, this is such a win because no matter what we do, we know we have a process that works and that is scalable right now. So that's what you're investing in. That's all in the $2,000 a family. All of those things I just told you.
All of the reintegration, the training. And I don't know if you know this, but Mark and I own a corporate training and development company. So we do a lot of leadership training. We work with CEOs and founders and groups, organizations to change cultures inside of companies. But we do, that was my biggest question when I sent money after I saw a post from Blake. But I was like, okay, this is always the tension. You homeless people, you're like, your heart gets moved. You want to give, But the things in the back of your mind, okay, that's going to get them through today, but are they going to run back and go right back to the thing tomorrow? And yes, God is looking at the heart of the giver. And also, are we building a system on the back end that helps them learn how to walk in their freedom, learn how to think in their freedom? So that was a big question that I had for you.
Yeah,
Tell me more about that, because that's exciting for me too. That's where my heart always goes when I go and
I know.
We donate to local food pantries or things, and we go to these meetings and they're always asking for more money, and I get it because there's a need. But I'm so curious of what are we doing to educate these women?
This is what I think this is the tension between the marketplace and the missionary, right? Is like the monk and the merchant is so I was not planning on talking on this at all. This is a concept that I've been wrestling through and thinking through and praying through and studying through, and maybe we'll write a book about it in the future. But I really believe the marketplace, let's say the marketplace is over here and here's the church or the mission. These two entities have to come to the middle.
Come on, I agree.
Because what the church does really well is we're the frontline good fighters, right? The church is out there. There's not a single catastrophe on the planet where you won't find the Church of Jesus Christ. Yes. We're the first ones there. Yeah. And we raise money privately that's already taxed. For the people that say tax the church, it's already taxed, okay? And we raise money privately to give out of the generosity God inspired us to give with, to help people who are hurting. So you have this, we're the frontliner, and then you have the strategic people, the ones God's really given the ability to create wealth and to build things. And we need them in the church. And here's the problem. The church has said, give to us. And it's, okay, I changed my whole language. I'm a fundraiser who will never ask you for funds. Think about this. Mm-hmm. I don't want your funds. I don't want your money. Look, if you're listening, I don't care about your money. I really don't. I want your whole life. Mm-hmm. I want your whole life. I want everything that God put in you and in your arsenal, every gift he gave you. I want all of it to fight what this fight is. Like together we can solve it. Apart, if you leave it down to me, we're going to raise a few bucks, but we're not going to finish the work. Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's so much in our entrepreneurs that is untapped. There's so much there where they don't want to just give. Nobody just wants to give. I want to be a part of a movement.
Yes.
And that's what I think Wilberforce did so well was, come on, guys, we're doing this together. And your opinion, your point, your viewpoint matters, and it's effective. So actually here, let me tell you some secret sauce. We learned this from Luis Palau. So what Luis did was he would take these really smart entrepreneurs with him to the mission field. Mm-hmm. So what Eric does is Eric takes these really smart entrepreneurs with him to the mission field. Yes. And that's why we have such a rock solid process, is because we brought in all these great entrepreneurs who looked at and they said, hey, we should do this. What about this? What about this? And every time they said, what about this? Our team got to work and implemented it.
That's divine strategies, right? Yes. The blueprints from heaven. They're the gifts that the Lord gave those people. And I think this is funny because sometimes we go, and Mark was like, there's a preaching class at church. We should go preach. I'm like, babe, we already have our podcast. Like, we can go learn how to preach. And also, like, we're doing so much through the marketplace. Like, I think it'd be really cool just to keep partnering more and keep bringing those gifts to these places, because that's the first place my brain goes. And I know his brain goes is, oh, what system can you build here? You know, what education structure?
And that's so valuable, because here's the reality: without people like you, without people and I happen to be bivocational. So, we have a company. I'm an executive at that company. It's a tech space. We're building it up, right? Mm-hmm. It's a startup that we've been scaling.
Okay.
So there's so much on this side. My background's real estate. So I've been in business for a long time, but then I've been in missions for a long time. And so I'm a blending of those two worlds. And I really think that the design of God is for those two worlds to work hand in hand. And so it's not the missionary who's just out there. It's like the Great Awakening happened because merchants partnered with missionaries. That's why the Second Great Awakening happened.
Yeah.
So it was funded by them, but it was also The buildings came from them, like the spaces, this divine insight, wisdom came from them. Here's how you set this up. Here's like, we need the combination. And God told me 4 years ago, and I'll never forget it because I changed everything I did from that point forward. But he said, Eric, the future of missions will move through the marketplace.
I really believe that. I love that. And we got to stop. And I grew up in a time in the church where the marketplace was demonized a lot. It's like the church was demonizing the marketplace, or money, like money's evil. And then the marketplace didn't want to have anything to do with church. Don't talk about it. Don't do it. And here's the thing. I just want to say this is that even as we go out, we're doing leadership development training, transformational leadership work. I do a lot of work actually with founders and CEOs and C-suite execs on getting their marriages back, getting their hearts again, getting their spirit life in order so that God can use them in the next season that he's calling them into. Cause there's that tension of that, but it's so beautiful just to go and see this. But people were so afraid. Don't talk about Jesus. Don't talk about the spirit. You're going to offend people. We just said, I can't tell you. It's like giving you 98% of the plan with the 2% that unlocks the whole thing. And I just finally felt the Holy Spirit said, stop that. You need to just go all the way. And so now we worship at our events. We talk about, we share stories, our models on stewardship and excellence. Our models come out of the Bible. And even people, I would say this, even people that are non-believers are hungry. They're seeking answers. They've tried everything the traditional ways. And I think we need to just, all of us listening, get bolder about truly sharing our faith and stop trying to water ourselves down to fit into a culture of box, and know that, because as we started just sharing our heart, like, you don't have to believe this. This is where we get it from. We get it from the Bible. You can do what you want.
100%.
The system works, right?
Yeah.
The system, God created the system. So now if you have a relationship with the creator of the system, it operates at a whole different level, but it's a system. And we have just seen people just hungry and saying, thank you so much for talking about it, for bringing it into the marketplace, for having these conversations. So I agree.
I love
I'm
that.
excited. Yeah.
Because if I've got so much to say with what you just said, but to the marketplace, we're partnering directly with the marketplace right now, right? Yeah. So there's Logo Brands, which is a massive company that if you walk into a Costco or a Sam's Club and you see your local college sports team on some fold-out chairs and pop-up tents, that's their company.
That's them.
We partner with Groove Life, who makes these silicone rings, and just so many great businesses who have said, you know what, we're going to make a difference and we're going to make an impact with our company. The people that show up to work here are going to know why we show up to work. And so these companies are freeing slaves every single year. Let me tell you why that matters. If you're a business owner, I'll tell you why that matters. There's a recent poll that just showed your workforce is Gen Z, okay? Your workforce is Gen Z. Yeah. And they're a very large workforce. The recent poll said 93% are stressed out by work. 98% are burnt out. Yeah. It's 100%. An astounding number. Yeah. You know why they're burnt out? Because they don't know why you have them working.
They're so disconnected from purpose, and that's what they want more than a paycheck right now.
Bingo. So here's my call to the business owners is bring church to the business. Yeah. Because who has more influence? A CEO that has people 40, 50 hours a week, or a pastor who has somebody for 90 minutes? Yeah. That 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, that CEO is the shepherd of their company. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we almost need to go. So you guys keep us sharp. We keep you sharp. This is iron sharpens iron. This is where we see excellence rise up. We see our businesses, our churches, our collaborations, our missions. One thing I love about our church is we learn this one unique lesson about the process, which is Conduit Church. I happen to be the mission pastor there. It's a joy of my life. And
is this church in Franklin?
It's in Franklin, Tennessee.
Tennessee. Okay.
Yep. And every week we don't talk about tithing. We don't talk about anything but Hebrews 10, which is the inspiration to love and good works, right? It's just about showing you what God's doing. And if he inspires you, then we give you avenues to give to that thing, and 100% goes to it, right? So what that means for our church model is well over half of our resources go directly out the door. Well over half, which is unheard of. And here's what we learned is Jesus created the church to fulfill the mission. He didn't create the mission to have a church, which means if we are not on mission, we lose our purpose in even being a church. We have to be going somewhere together. And then what we learned is when we're going somewhere together and we're doing mission shoulder to shoulder, first of all, that's how men bond, right?
Yes.
Just specifically men.
Yeah.
But we have this, we're getting after it because we're doing something. And then what we learned is all the little pet doctrine arguments go out the window.
Away. Yeah. Because we're actually linking arms on a mission. And that's the coding and the DNA that God put in man. That everybody's like, the question I get all the time is, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? I'm like, your purpose is to live on purpose. Your purpose is to live today on purpose everywhere you go, not to be searching your purpose. And it's just, again, I love that. And as you were talking, I want to go back. I'm like, rewind real quick as we start to wrap this. Cause you said the mission, say that again. You were saying like when the mission is clear and the people wrap around the mission, then there's purpose. And what I was thinking about was, and provision follows mission and alignment.
Yes.
Right. So often when the purpose, like when we get that twisted up, it's like we're chasing the provision and like it doesn't come. Can you speak to that a little bit? Cause I hear that a lot, that people are like, we never get the funds for this, or we never have enough money for that. And I'm just like, no, in business and in the church, but I believe provision follows assignment and alignment. I don't know if you've experienced that.
I have experienced that because so if I'm doing something, let's say God says to me, hey, do something about this, which he did, right? He told me what to do. I'm responding to him. So where does my help come from? It comes from the maker of heaven and earth. He's the creator. This is his job. My job's actually just to be a voice for the voiceless. If I just do what he told me to do, if I just show up and I'm talking about what he wants me to talk about, he makes provision happen. It's a byproduct. Provision is always a byproduct. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, then everything's added to you. It's always secondary. We never do things so when people are working and they're just doing it for money, guess what they always feel 100% of the time? Unfulfilled.
Never enough.
It's never enough. You're doing something you weren't made to do. And here's what I see. Romans 12, you get this outline and you get 3 different chapters with spiritual gifts, right? Romans 12, 1 Corinthians 12, and Ephesians chapter 4. You get basically, and my friend Darren Tyler wrote a great book on this, but it basically lays out that Romans 12 are gifts from the Father. These are not gifts this is not what you do. This is who you are. And if I go to what I am in the Romans 12, I'm an encourager, right? Which is an exhortation, the gift of exhortation. I'm encouraging. And so if I stay in that lane, then I can apply the way I'm made to what God's asked me to do. That is going to fulfill the mission. And what the problem is that people are using what God made me to do. Right. So let's say I've been given the gift of exhortation. I'm probably good at sales. I am good at sales. It's what I do. If I'm only doing it just to get commissions, I'm going to be unfulfilled. I have to use the gift God gave me for something God asked me to do. Does that make sense? Yes. So I have to know the why. And I'm a millennial millennials started the impact focus. Right? As a generation, we're known for that. We created companies like Bomba Socks and Tom's and all these different companies that started giving back here's why we do it. And now Gen Z, they're even more impact focused. Every week we lead hundreds of Gen Z here in Middle Tennessee, a ministry that my wife and I lead and called The Circle. It's here in Franklin. And they are all focused on what did God put me on earth to do? And if you can answer that question as a company, hey, you have to work. Yeah. You have to work. If you don't work, you don't eat. Working is required. Working is and
it's biblical.
Yes. Before the fall, before the curse came onto the earth, God told them to tend the garden, right? when we're with God in eternity, which will be right here on this earth, when we're in the New Jerusalem, we will be working.
Yes.
Working is a good thing.
Yes.
So is Sabbath.
Yeah.
Right? So what if you can connect what they're doing with their hands? They're good at whatever. You have to be, as a CEO, able to connect what they're called to do with the mission of Jesus Christ. If you can do that, then you'll keep your employees. They'll know why they're there, and they will be there for a long time. Does that make sense? So hopefully that answered your question.
I love that. I love that. I'm going to put the link below to those 3 chapters, because I think that the chapters in the Bible on the spiritual gifts, and it's important to know it. And it's so subtle when we start getting off track, or we have to keep remembering. That's why I have my North Star over there on the wall. It's to reflect the heart of God wherever I am. If I'm in the marketplace, if I'm on a team call, if we're doing this podcast, that's the filter. That's the how, because I can be doing my gift, but with the wrong North Star, and it's, now something just went off kilter. And
Totally.
What you said about the burnout thing, we do these assessments all the time where we go into organizations, and we just had a call recently with a whole group, and we said, these were the most burnt out people we have ever spoken to. Like, your people are so exhausted, so much so that we actually stopped the whole event. We were supposed to go from like morning till night, and they were like, what did you learn about us? I said, we're going to pump the brakes and course adjust, because you guys, what I've learned is you guys are tired. You're running hard. This stuff is going in one ear and out the other. You need a break. You need to breathe. You need to rest. And so we ended up just course adjusting the whole event and just coming back. And it's like, it's just this relentless pursuit of more with the wrong heart. But I do believe when we have a lot of capacity when our heart's in the right place and where we're operating from our gifts, right? Like, you can do a lot more than you could ever imagine. And you're just like, how am I getting so much done? So I think so much of burnout is, people talk about it and say, it's because you're doing too much. I think it's just like we're doing too much of the wrong stuff from the wrong place.
I think you could not have said that better. Trying to get work-life balance, that's just what you need. You need spiritual balance. And if you're doing all things to the glory of God, it will take up your whole life, but you'll be so fulfilled. You're going to feel, it's going to feel light. He said, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. It doesn't mean that it's a 10-hour work week. It just means that the pressure's off of you.
Yeah. You're doing it different.
Off of you.
Yeah. You're not the source of having to hold it all together.
And then here's what I really love is that we get to do it together. That's God's plan. So if you find yourself, you're trying to do it all by yourself, and you're alone and you're isolated, you're the gazelle that left the pack with a roaring lion coming after you. Mm-hmm. The design of the church is to be, so when I say the church, I mean,
I was going to say, please clarify that, because I think people still think church equals building that you go to.
Forget buildings.
Forget the building, people. This is not what we're talking about.
People groups.
Yeah.
The church is us. We're having church right now, when his design for us is to be the greatest force for good on the planet. That's the design, which means that there's only one way to overcome evil in the whole Bible, aside from the Lamb of God coming back to stomp the serpent.
Yeah.
And that's, we overcome evil by doing good. And each one of us, God says in Ephesians, I think chapter 2, that before we were born, he created good works for us so that we could walk in them, right? So you don't have to go searching far and wide. But if you're listening to this conversation right now and you're like, I need to set slaves free, God's telling me, then find us at slavefreebricks.com. There's a send your contact us at the bottom of the page. That email comes directly to me. We're gonna start involving you in what we're doing. If it's something else, then go do and be obedient at that thing, because God's going to give you so much life at the end of it that you're going to feel like, I'm part of what God is doing on the earth. And that's really deep down what we all want.
Huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're created for. I love that. Thank you for bringing it back. Okay. I feel like I could talk to you for a really long time, because I have so many more questions I want to ask you. And I'm like, okay, I got to have Eric back, because I want to have another podcast on a similar subject, but I really want to go deeper into this whole, how do we really start to heal a collective? But I want to go back to the real reason of today's podcast, which obviously was, to share your heart for what you guys are doing. What's the vision? Where do you see, what's the vision here for the next 5 years or so? Where are you guys going? What's the goal?
The goal is to get all 4.5 million out. I'm not kidding. There's 1 million persecuted Christians that are on those brick kilns. It is paramount. It is paramount that us, the church, that we get them out as fast as possible. Here's why. We're going to spend eternity with them. Okay, I want you to think about that. We're going to spend eternity with the slaves that are Christians that are on brick kilns right now. And I don't want to answer the question, why didn't you come for me? Why didn't you help?
Yeah.
I'm actually not willing to answer that question. I'd rather die than have to look them in eternity and answer that. I just don't want to. And even more the judgment seat of Christ when he says, I gave you guys everything. I want to be found faithful, and we've got to get all of them out as fast as possible. And I will say there's a ton of excitement. You guys can connect with us, and I'd love to we can keep talking, Christine, but there's so much momentum at the government level, at different national levels that we've been working with, that I think we're going to get some key laws passed. And I really believe we'll do this within 10 years, but it's going to take an army. If you think that we can do it with what we have now, I promise you we can't. So if you're listening to it, sounds like these guys have got it pretty well figured out. I promise you we'll fail if you don't get involved. We need whoever God has assigned to this to step in with full force, put their companies, their influence, come to Pakistan with me, do whatever God's asked you to do. But we need you to step into this fight. If you're thinking, not much I can add, there is a lot that you can add. Everyone has influence.
So good. We're going to end it there, you guys. As always, there's so many ways that you can get connected. We'll drop the links below so you can connect with Eric and the organization, donate, give, just pray about it. As always, we're just here to share what's going on. And I do believe the Holy Spirit doesn't guilt us into doing anything, but he will move your heart to get involved in whether it's this, and if it is this, in what capacity. You just pray about it. You be obedient. If it's something else closer to home on your soil that maybe he's already put in your heart that you've been holding out and you haven't been moving on, but you know that you're not getting away from that, because he's just still, we were asking him, God, what do you want of me? He's already told you. I already told you what to do.
So good. Because God's highest and best for you is on the other side of obedience to him. Yeah. So good.
Yeah. So I just wanted to end on that, you guys, that it's just listen, seek to hear the voice of God. He will speak into you. And when you obey, there is a blessing on the other side. I can just tell you that this is how we build a stronger relationship. So Eric, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your story, what you guys are up to. I'm excited to keep being part of it, following along, and maybe even coming with you guys on a future trip.
Thanks, Christine.
All right, guys. Thank you for being here. You guys, if this was helpful, if you love this show, everybody needs to hear this. Pass this on to somebody else. Make sure that you hit subscribe. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I want to hear your comments below. I want to hear what hit homes, because when you guys engage and you comment and you share, this is what helps the message get spread. All right. Thanks. Peace out. We'll see you next week. God bless.